Hello, everybody. Welcome to Waking Shift Podcast. We are returning after an interesting hiatus due to a ridiculous amount of stuff going on, and we are graced by the appearance of Mr. J. Chapa with his lovely kitchen sounds in the background, giving us this interesting ambiance. And so, of course, here by myself, right, John, we have my good friend Todd here.
Hello, all. And
as said before, we have Mr. Jaime. I would really love it, Todd, if you could put an applause right there for him.
Absolutely. It's going to go right here. It's going to be taken from all different copyright sources, so it won't make it to YouTube ever.
Exactly. I know, but we're here. And before I ask that question, because I have like an interesting lined up question, how's everybody doing? Jaime, have you been busy as hell?
Yeah, I ran into this weird issue being a TA right now, and with the professor that I'm TAing with. Just to kind of give you insight about kind of how I've been in the past two weeks. I've had to grade 190 essays.
Jeez, how long in length?
They're all different. But I only had to grade 90 something, but I had to regrade them because the professor doesn't like to communicate. Yeah. So I'm dealing with that, but trying to finish my own work. But yeah.
That sounds like a chore. Believe me, I get it. There's a lot of stuff that I need to do on my side for grading. We had another episode kind of lined up to go, but it was just so long between release that we just decided to redo it. And we're gonna get to try out some new stuff, and it's great. We got to break the ice, and we're here again. So I was curious. I wanted to ask you all that question I had. So here's an interesting way to kind of get started. So let's say you have 5 minutes to hide a paperclip in your home. A detective has 24 hours to find it, and if they don't find it, you get $10,000. Where are you going to hide the paperclip? Todd, do you want to take this?
Yeah. So I already thought of that. So I think one of the first places this detective would probably look is the places that you don't want to go to, right? Like, with that kind of money on the line and that kind of time, he's going to go look at the toilet. He's going to go look outside. He's going to go look under the house. I'm going to have it basically. Also, is this allowed? If I can have like a small piece of tape, and I can tape it to the inside of an air shaft of an air conditioning vent. Like, stick it to the inner plate.
The inside to the plate.
Yeah, so like he might look in through the shaft, but he won't look on the plate itself. Maybe. That's where I would probably hide it.
Yeah,
it's kind of that's a sinister one, I think.
It is. It's one of those like, I have a lot of money and I need to save it. That's like a No Country for Old Men move.
Right under the the vent.
Yeah, the vent.
My gosh, that's such a great scene.
Yeah, that's a great movie, but it's a great move too. Is putting it in there,
it in there, and then connecting the rooms like that way he can access it from the other.
I know, that was brilliant. Jaime, do you have one? Oh God.
Yeah. So I did, and then some of the reasoning that Todd gave may have.
Oh wow! Did you really think of the same one?
No. Some of the reasoning that you right. I was thinking about kind of taking a massive dump and then hiding the clip inside of my turd and putting it in the toilet. But maybe this detective is smart enough.
Do you need some time?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
All right, take some time. I have one. So mine's gonna be kind of using the psychology perspective. I'm going to try and take that opposite approach, right? Because I think that, he's going to look in the more devious spots. So I guess if you were going to take the time to line a paperclip through your turd, like you might want to go through there. However, if you were to also put it inside the vent, I think that'd be a problem too, because he might want to go there. I'm going to do something as devious in plain sight. If I'm able to straighten out the paperclip, I would open up the oven and put it on the edge of one of the liners to one of the trays, so that it would kind of hold on to the left side. So it would be in plain freaking sight. Like I wouldn't even try to hide it. However, because it's hopefully metal and metal, right? He
Right.
won't find it at
like,
all.
seamlessly go together.
Yeah, mine's kind of devious too, but more of like the in plain sight.
I like that.
Hopefully, dude, that'd be hilarious. I bet the guy would be so ticked.
Someone should make some network should like boil this down and turn it into a 30-minute show where it's like an I Spy house, and then contestants have to go in and find this specific object in like 20-30 minutes in the game, and they win like $5,000 or something.
Dude, and you put a fisheye lens on the top of the living room so that you can see everybody moving around, and you play that chicken song that you just speed up the footage and just like watch the detective tear apart the freaking house.
That's crazy.
I'd be down with this show. Jaime, are you ready, or do you need more time?
Yeah, so I mean, I really don't see a detective going through my spice cabinet and emptying out every single bottle of spice that I have. So I think if also I could straighten out this clip and then like set it in a appropriately sized spice bottle to where it's standing up straight.
Oh wow!
The spice. Maybe that is what I would do, because I mean I just don't see the detective going out and emptying out every single bottle of spice. And then if he picks it up, you can really tell that there's nothing in there.
Yeah, not by that way.
There's a clip in there.
Yeah, if the clip was bent and turned, like you'd be able to see it probably more likely. But if it was straight, I mean, especially if he's not thinking about a straightened clip, like that could work.
I like that. This is a good question because it's making me think of all kinds of different things. I could just imagine 3 different categories. You have an okay, a good, and a great detective. So you have the same house, and they have 3 days, and you have to put the paperclip in totally different places based on how good they are.
3,300, 600, and 6,600, and then you get the $10,000 prize.
Yeah, yeah, basically. It's a paperclip, a pencil, and I don't know, cigarette.
That'd be interesting. Like it'd be, because it's just crafty, right? It's like, I mean, clean as clean fun can get, as long as someone doesn't like use the toilet.
Ooh, and then for Halloween we could have haunted house episodes. Let's forget about this episode and get this to a network.
I know, right? Let's put this podcast down and get this idea to a producer. That's too good. So I kind of had an idea, right? So I was curious as so I was watching a couple of those Wired documentaries going over like people's careers. Like, is there any actor that you've seen that you've wanted to kind of go down their IMDb page? Like, because I've actually been tempted to just like one that I've been really wanting to go down the rabbit hole on, because I just recently saw him again in this admittedly cheesy but definitely a guilty pleasure of mine movie, Con Air, Steve Buscemi. Dude, Steve Buscemi in Con Air is just so disturbingly good. Like it's so great.
It was a role that he was 100% meant for.
Yeah, and then I mean the fact that movie was even like, you know, ballsy enough to play with that like pedophilia idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was a really eerie scene with him and the kid in the empty pool. Like first off, whose kid is left like that? Like I understand truthfully probably many more than I'd care to know, but the reality is like, dude, that's such a dark scene. And then I just love at the end where she's like waving, like, oh, nothing happened. I'm like, that was like probably a producer was like, you need to put that scene in there. Like
right.
You can't let this go to film without that kid waving or something. But ever since I saw that, I've been wanting to go down like Steve Buscemi's IMDb page and just kind of watch a lot of it. So is there an actor that you would sit through that? Because not every actor is worthy of it, you know?
So I have a couple of different ones actually. I'm just pulling these out, but like one would actually be Nicolas Cage, and I know it might be a strange answer.
That's a long list, sir.
Coincidentally, that's the thing though, because I know there's a period of time between like, I don't know, maybe like 2000 and like, you know, into the late 00s that he kind of just did anything, and I only ever heard of a couple of those movies. A lot of them didn't even make it to to theaters or anything. Some of them were just directly to streaming or DVD or whatever, you know. So, and I know there has to be some gems in there of just like wacky, goofy. Like he's like an American treasure weird way.
National Treasure.
And that, God, yes, National Treasure. I should have seen that one coming from a mile away. But I think he's an interesting one just because of that. Because I have a feeling that his performances are so just sporadic, and they might not be good, but colorful is the best way for me to describe Nicolas Cage.
Well, there's that old movie of his, something about him being a vampire. Like where he has a really like outward so like I think it's like an old movie, probably 90s, where he's like supposed to be turning into a vampire, but it's like Nick Cage turned the Nick Cage-o-meter to 11, dude. Like it was like there's literally a scene where he's in a suit running down the street in as manic a phrase as he can, and he's like, I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire. Like he's just and everyone's just staring at him in awkwardness. It's not that they're afraid, no one's threatened by him. It's not like Blade the movie vampire. It's like this guy's having a psychotic break. He thinks he's a vampire.
Yeah.
And it's just he's so meme worthy. That guy just doesn't stop. Like I've seen some of his pictures because people take like, photos of him in Hollywood, and he just looks so like he's in an interesting place. Like he's just guy feels like he's out of time. Like he's just in an interesting spot because he did so many different movies, but everyone loves him because of like Gone in 60 Seconds and like National Treasure. There's probably a few more, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's in a lot of really interesting stuff.
Con Air.
Yeah, Con Air's one.
Dude, that accent was atrocious.
What's the movie that he did where he was like I love these kind of movies, but like he was like an FBI detective and he goes to this island and he's got bees on his face.
My
like, what
God.
movie is that? Wicker? No, not Wicker.
Yeah, The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man.
Okay, so I know that's a bad movie, but the first and second time I saw it, I was just so intrigued by its fucking absurdity.
Dude, he straight up punches a woman for no reason.
He does. He does. I know it's an infamous scene, but like the movie is just so out there.
Jaime, like he like straight up cold walks up to a woman and just like bricks her in the face with his fist. Like there's like no real reason for it in the movie. Like there's like tension between the two, but like there was no reason for it to go from like I don't like you two, I'm gonna freaking punch you in the face. Like whoever wrote that through, and then the CGI at the end is so messed up. Like it's not even good. But yeah, he did some stuff like that.
I think his appeal like carried him through Ghost Rider, because that was a shit movie and he's not really that great of a Ghost Rider, but like it wasn't, everyone liked it, and I can still go rewatch it.
It wasn't offensive enough. It wasn't offensive enough to really to warrant that type of hate. The reason why I think people loved him in that movie and loved him for that movie specifically, right? Not the movie, but loved him in that movie is because he probably sent a clip, because dude, that CGI scene going 360 around him where he turns into Ghost Rider for the first time, like there is no other actor on earth that was made for that scene other than Nick Cage. Now every other scene in the movie, like where he's not doesn't turn into Ghost Rider, like that scene, I don't know if you noticed that, where he's eating jelly beans out of a wine glass. He's like, that was him. Like he requested that to be in the movie. Like who knows why? Like but you're right though. Like he just has that, and he is a national treasure. Like he is like people love him. Like he's like you know what? The best analogy I can make: Calculon from Futurama. Like he's just such a loved actor. He's not the best actor, but he's the consistent actor.
I feel like, and I'll add, I feel like he's also the kind of actor that just wouldn't. I think he has to be kind of like in Con Air and some other stuff. Like he has to be in a band of like misfit like kind of performers, because I feel like if you put him in like what's big right now, like Marvel or something superhero, like he would completely, he'd be the odd one out.
He'd destroy the illusion.
He'd be the odd one out. Yeah, and I almost feel like he would bring tension to whatever role he took in that. Just imagine him acting like opposite of like, I don't know, Tom Holland or one of these people, like, or Cumberbatch, like as Doctor Strange. It would just be so odd.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. That's well, he's in. Is he the Spider-Verse movie? He plays like the Detective Spider-Man or something.
Oh, you know what? Sorry,
that movie is great.
what's
They're
that?
like
That superhero movie?
Spider-Man.
I'm sorry, what?
So go for it, Jaime. Go for
He
it.
played like that Frenchy detective noir Spider-Man.
Yes.
But dude, he also played what's that movie? Kick-Ass.
The Crew.
Kick-Ass.
Oh yeah.
He played like the Batman ripoff. Do you remember that, Todd?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Batman.
Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass. Yeah, he played
Kick-Ass.
the.
Okay, so that is in my opinion, a pretty good performance. Also, think he had a
Yes.
great supporting cast.
Yes.
That elevated him because I think he probably does really well with just much more energetic actors,
Dude,
and so he had a pretty energetic cast around him.
Just whoever did that movie was like really smart because in the sequel they got Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Which was
And then Jim
so
Carrey
good.
kind of came out afterwards, kind of on this is like maybe on a tangent, but he came out afterwards, kind of saying he couldn't
Condone the violence.
he couldn't do that, or he watched a screening of it after, and he's like, I can't even he can't go out and like talk about the movie like on a press tour or anything. So I think he like was completely cut out of the press tour.
Yeah, because he's Jim Carrey is the specific sensitive actor.
He can't. Him and that doesn't mold well together. But then it makes me wonder how he did something like Number 23, which is like.
But that's probably why. Like Number 23 is probably was the thing that he wanted to try. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Which was still out there. I kind of want to rewatch that movie.
Josh loves that one. A mutual friend of ours loves that movie.
I mean, I've watched it a couple times. I mean, the part where like it's a reveal at the end, I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, Jaime, we've been kind of hijacking this. Do you have an actor that you'd be willing to go down the IMDb page?
Yeah, when you mentioned like consistently like loved characters, for some reason my mind went to Stanley Tucci.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah.
I've never seen a movie in there that I'm like, this guy I don't really like. Like he's always played a character that I really like. I've never disliked him as an actor either in any movie that I've watched. I haven't seen all his stuff. I know that for sure.
No, but that makes sense though.
Be the one
I'm trying to think of I want to go into I want to see his filmography.
Stanley Tucci's great.
BoJack Horseman.
He reminds me so much, and it's terrible, of Mark Strong, just because they have a very similar look and a bald thing.
Dude, it happens, man. It happens.
It does. And sometimes I'll look at Mark Strong like in what's that movie, Kingsman, and I'm like, that's Stanley Tucci. No, it's not. No. It's Mark Strong. You got it wrong again, Todd. Gotta move on.
I haven't had the same thing. I was like, wait a minute, he's in the Kingsman? No. Do you know what? Him and Lucky Number 11 was a funny one. That's a cheesy movie, but I did like it. But he's consistent as hell.
He seems to have, according to this, done at least 1 or 2 or 3 things every year.
Yeah.
For a good amount of time. Jeez. And then with this kind of with his kind of actor too, he's in some TV stuff. So that's 100% consistent. Well, like as long as it stays picked up by the studio or whatever. Yeah, good actor.
Yeah, that was a really good pick, dude. Jeez. I'm trying to think of the guy was even in Frasier. Frasier.
That is so far back. ER. He was in ER for a year.
Jeez, talk about just consistent freaking work. And that's the thing that I've been trying to think about is I've been really wanting to go down a movie binge, but a movie binge with purpose, and I think that going down someone's IMDb page is kind of worth it, depending on who it is. This guy, I can totally see why you'd want to go down that. Talk about an interesting, The Lovely Bones. Yeah.
Yeah, that was different from him, at least from what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, was it? Hey man, they're brave sometimes. They try changing it up.
So I just remember what he was in, and something that I saw a lot back in, oh my god, I was in middle school when this came out, which is The Core, and he plays this this renowned scientist named Zimsky, and I think he's opposite of Aaron Eckhart. And like Aaron Eckhart is the younger like scientist who's like just getting his foot in the door, and Zimsky is kind of like, oh, I'm the pompous, like I'm the I'm in control of this situation. Not a great movie, but it was just a fun kind of like, I don't know, apocalyptic kind of movie, natural disaster kind of movie. It was something.
It's got to be really weird to try and film stuff right now. I'm looking at it. He's in filming for 3 things right now.
Mm-hmm.
For Moonfall, La Fortuna, and What If, which one's a movie.
Yeah, and
two
he's got The Man Who Saved Paris in pre-production. So who knows how long that'll be in pre-production for?
Yeah, that's crazy. Good pick.
Indeed, that is a good pick.
What movie comes to mind for you for him? Kind of curious.
Me?
Yes, sir.
A couple of them. I mean, like, I think he was really. So I think Leslie Bones really like sticks out to me because he played such a like. It was almost kind of like it reminds me of how Robin Williams played in that movie. Was it Photo?
Oh my God, Photo Booth.
1 Hour Photo or something.
1 Hour Photo. There you go. 1 Hour Photo, dude. That I watched it on HBO, and that was such an eerie movie.
It kind of reminds me of that. So it sticks out to me, but like, I mean, it's not really like a movie that sticks out to me in particular. Like, kind of like the person. Like, so he played like in the Hunger Games. They go small roles that he plays. I really like how he can do really well in a small role, but not like take from the big stars of the movie. But he can still like really shine as a smaller role. I think he does really well at that. Agreed.
He's one of those actors, man. Like there's some of those actors that really just work in the background.
They're kind of there for the work and less for the exposure, because they're. I mean, that's also just, we could be speculating, but based on how much work he has done based on his page, it's consistency, like we mentioned already.
Yeah.
Like there's I'm trying to think of I'm trying to look for the guy's name, because he's one of those
it's like actors, like it's in a bunch of stuff and you can't remember his name.
Yes, and it pisses me off because he is such a good actor. Let me go ahead and see what's going on.
While you look for that, someone else I'll add is Tilda Swinton. She's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
She's in a ton of great stuff. I think a lot of people would probably remember her playing Gabriel in Constantine. Yes, which is excellent. She was perfect for it. But she has also been one of those consistent actors in a ton of stuff since like the late 1980s. But most recently, I think she's kind of known for she's going to be in Pinocchio. Like, I guess it's like a live action movie, which will be interesting. She was in the redo of Suspiria, which people weren't really into. I am 50-50 with that movie. I thought just the way it looked was excellent, the set design and stuff, and I think she did great. But yeah, she's also one of those actors with just an incredible kind of variety of roles. She also did she also had a great role in Snowpiercer. I know John and I have talked about this movie before, but she played a kind of like I think she was think of her like a commander or something of sorts, and she was handling all of the people on the train per se. Really great role. Really great actor.
Yeah, and then she came out as the Ancient One and Doctor Strange.
That too, absolutely. Which I think people were kind of like iffy about.
People were really because for right reasons and wrong reasons. Not at her. You can't blame her for it, but I understand why people. The role. Yes, I understand why people were mad at it though.
And yet she still did a pretty great job.
Oh hell yes, she did. Did a damn good job.
Wow, she's in Uncut Gems. I didn't know that. And she played a very small role. It's a voice, like over the phone kind of role. See, that kind of stuff interests me. It's like, so you got this actor who's got some, has got quite the resume, and then you get them to do a phone call in a movie. That's interesting. I wonder what that phone call about the phone call is like. Hey, you want to do a phone call in a movie first?
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Oh, like I finally found the freaking episode. I feel so bad having to do this.
You were really looking for this hard, were you?
Because the guy deserves it. Like I'm thinking about it, and
I would just need to know who the hell you're talking
I feel
about.
bad because he's a really good actor. And I would hate if we're talking about the same guy. Or if it came up, David Strathairn or Strathairn. But he's one, like, he came out in Lincoln. He was the second in Lincoln. The Secretary of State in Lincoln. Let me try.
Oh yeah, he's in Good Luck and Good Light and Good Night.
Yeah,
Good Night and Good Luck, dude.
Like,
great movie.
He's a great
movie.
actor, but he very rarely plays like the front man. He's almost always the second in command. And like, he came out in the Bourne Ultimatum. Yeah, he was the bad CIA agent in charge going after
Bourne. Yeah. So he came in and took over like Treadstone or recharged it. And the first objective was to go after Bourne or whatever.
Noah Vosen was his name in that one. But he is such a good actor. Like, he's just an actor that I really want to go through as well. Because when I saw him again, because I'm rewatching House for fun, I saw him in that episode, and I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "You are someone who I need to like sit down and go through the IMDb page, because the guy has done some good work, but he's never first, so you never remember him." I mean, like, I had to go that far to remember his name. I don't think I've ever heard it. Poor guy.
At this point, I'm thinking about really popular actors, but I recently watched The Devil All the Time with Pattinson, Holland.
I watched The Lighthouse.
Skarsgård. We watched Lighthouse together. Yes. So Bill Skarsgård is in Devil All the Time, and while most of the performances are pretty great, his performance is this kind of haunting, everlasting thing where at the end of the movie, while the rest of the performances definitely had a vibrance to them, his was the one I was thinking about the entire time. It's the look in his face. Like, the guy's, like, he played Pennywise twice, and then all I can think about is his eyes. But I know he's got I could just imagine his catalog is also storied.
Oh, it's just such an interesting thing. Like finding those actors that have those tells and just have like a story to them.
Yeah, he did great. I also highly recommend that movie, The Devil All the Time, as a like a fun thriller watch for Halloween.
You know what? Kind of interesting on that. Jaime, you gonna go trick or treating on Halloween?
I don't know if I'm gonna go house to house. There are like some like places that are doing like the gym that I go to. They're gonna have something for the kids to go trick or treating. I guess I don't know how that's gonna be set up, but I definitely want to do something. I just don't know if it's gonna be. Especially, I don't know if you heard this, but like Lubbock's getting worse.
Really?
Like we might get shut down again, like by Governor Abbott, because our numbers are increasing. Like the hospitals are full and stuff. All over again.
Like that's what I've been seeing too. Like, talk about a crazy left turn, right? I'm like, hey, how's Halloween? The pandemic. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's the reality, right? No, I've been thinking the same thing, man. Like, we just kind of had to get together, Todd and I, with our friends, like a week ago, right? At this point,
after a long time.
Like we have tried our best to never let it get over 10 people. You know what I mean? Like we never Todd and I are probably the ones that feel the least comfortable in those contexts.
I do.
And and on that night, you know, it was like 12 people, 13 people at its peak, and like that's just our close friends, right? We're not strangers, but it still comes to that number.
Don't think it was that many people.
It was 12 at its peak. It was.
Really? It counted.
When it was, I think it was like before you got there, people had come and gone. It was when James Priscilla got back.
Gotcha,
that's when it capped out. But it was like eerie to me, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if we should do this. Like, I'm not ready. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? We need to do this now. And I was like, because not to coin or to use the line from freaking that show, like I forget what it's called, but Winter's Coming, right? I mean, like winter is coming,
Game of Thrones.
and the reality is that the colds are coming and all the sickness that comes with that, right?
Yeah.
The damp air making it easy to more transmit, you know, and I was like, man, we need to get this hanging out stuff out of the way right now. I was like, because I'm not going to have any patience for it in a month when the stats look so ridiculous, right?
I kind of don't have the patience for it now.
but I love my friends though. Like
I love my friends, but like it's just, you know, it's so
tough.
much caution that turns into, I guess we're transitioning completely out of the conversation. It's so much caution that just turns into worry. And there were just moments, like, you remember, I just kept looking at you like,
oh yeah, dude. I told that to Ash. Like, sorry I didn't mean to steal your point, Jaime.
Oh, you're good.
But when I looked at there was a couple times I looked at Todd, and Todd, you took off your mask, and Ash was like, oh, maybe Todd was comfortable, and I was like, no, you don't get it. I took off my mask, so Todd was probably just comfortable because I was comfortable. It doesn't work.
Quite literally that, John. That is literally it. I was like, all right, that's fine. Okay. And then I put it back on like 10 minutes later.
Yeah, well, yeah. When the numbers peaked up again, you put the mask back on. But I get you, man. Like, Ash and I are thinking about doing something for Halloween, but we're just going to go. Actually, we're going to go to our good friend Dylan's house and kind of hang out with him for the day. Just chill. Nice. So keeping it small and trying to do stuff. But, like, dude, like, I actually was kind of getting into the whole, like, going into haunted houses thing. Like, I think those are kind of fun. But
surprisingly safer than hanging out with people that are alive. Wow.
Well, it's just so nuts, like, because people literally jump out at you and they like scream at you, like exhale, and I'm like, damn it. Like, now it's so funny, like rewatching old movies and videos, like we've been talking about. Ash and I kind of just like look at it, and as soon as like they blow out the candles or they all like scream and hug at each other, we're like, COVID. like old simple moments that were just like, I guess, like meaningless at that time period, right? Or just didn't really come to mind. Now I'm just thinking like Contagion, and that's that the numbers went down, man. It's so crazy. Like I think it's like I wonder what's gonna happen between like something like Lubbock and Austin, right? Like a bigger city that maybe, like, it makes you wonder where that bubble is, right? Where the threshold is for like re-exposure and growth again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because you would think that if a lot of people got infected, a lot of people had an immunity, that people could get some comfortability with going out again, right? Because the people who were infected are partially immune, if not immune.
Right.
But then here we are again. And it's just like, what the fuck?
It's really weird to think about. And you know, the more you mention like social situations, you know, it's been a couple of times since we last like spoke on the podcast, but like I've been just going on hikes.
Yeah.
You know, I have been going out much more regularly to the point where I've just bought in like supplies to like go out. And so that's been fun because in the area that I live in, unfortunately, people don't take advantage of these resources, right? And it's you just got to go at a good time of day. In the mornings, usually no one's a morning person anymore around here. So
yeah,
it's great for me. I go pick up a coffee and then I go take an hour or two hike, take some mediocre pictures, get some fresh air away from the 3 screens that I live around on a daily basis, and it's nice. But you know, like you said, you know, there's gonna be social situations coming up, including holidays, that some of us are just kind of like, well, we still want to partake in them in some way, right? Adapt to our new kind of reality. So it's going to be really interesting, you know, going into the winter months to see how things go. But you're right. If you're going to do any social stuff, maybe do it now, especially if you live in a colder state. I don't know, you know?
Get ahead of it. Well, the reason why I asked too is because, of course, like Jaime has a son, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, you're right. You're like, what? I'm like, no, but like you specifically, you're like, wait, now I'm listening. But no, like, well, with your son, right? I mean, Halloween and holidays, they have to ring different. Yeah. I mean, you know, because for Todd and myself, you know what I mean? We're just introverts and we're going to stay inside regardless if we can help it. I mean, in most cases, We might go out here and there, but even our old versions of going out are now kind of prohibited to an extent. And so, but for you, it's a different pressure, right? Because you have, I mean, your son's not going to really understand, right? I mean, you probably like, I'm sure you're feeding him what he needs to know, but even then, just because you're feeding it to him doesn't mean it's going to land. And that's the real kicker, right? Is that like, you're going to see like, he's probably going to get the old gimmick of like, oh, well, trick-or-treating, going out and doing all this stuff, right? Because it's something we've like already kind of trained into our children over time. And then here we are, 2020, and we're like, and I remember over the years, like people making fun of Halloween as like one of the most communicative, like scary moments of like diseases. Like people would say, it's like, everyone's just transferring germs. And I'm like, it's no biggie. And then now I'm like, you know what?
You had a point.
Yeah, like it's so weird. Like,
and then especially with like, trick or treating still being a thing, like you're grabbing candy from other houses that you just don't know if
No, that's the thing.
Have
the
surface been clean. Like we don't know these things.
Yeah, and so it's so interesting. Like talk about like changes. I remember at the very beginning of all this, people were saying, "Oh, people are gonna second guess giving hugs," and I remember thinking, this won't be that big of a deal. And then 7 months into it, 8 months into it, like,
yeah, it's like fist bump, bro. That's about it. I love you, but fist bump.
Yeah, like I mean, I gave my good friend Martin a hug. Like hadn't seen him in like months, and like I can't tell you the anxiety that was in my head. You know what I mean? Giving a damn hug. Being part of Southern culture, being part of Latino culture, that's something I shouldn't necessarily have a problem with.
We inherited that, like, and it continues through our lives.
You think? I was gonna say, do you think Ian would have any trouble this year, Jaime?
I mean, he's been pretty responsive to things I tell him to do differently now that we're trying to like be a little more precautious because of COVID. So I really don't know what. I mean, I doubt that we're gonna go house to house. I feel like I'm gonna do some research to figure out sort of what sort of community things are going on. Because I mean, like, I would assume that there's gonna be like, I don't know if there's gonna be church groups or there's gonna be some kind of community get together where like like they took the time to like disinfect everything, the candies, put them in baggies.
Like prepaid baggies, right? Getting a socially distanced line that circles around the block.
Yeah. I feel like that's gonna someone's gonna like try to do it, right? Because there's gonna be those people who are like, oh, the kids, like we can't let COVID. I mean, like that sentiment got us, got back to where we are now and almost gonna get shut down again. But like they don't want to lose that sense of community.
Which I understand.
It's funny. Like that's exactly what's going on. Like that's the reason why we're getting back.
I know. Like this is.
Got locked down. So.
It's exactly why. Like, and it's interesting because, like I think we talked about this here and there, right? But Jaime and I have spoken about this before. But we'll bring you into the fold here, Todd. It's like the idea that there are certain cognitive principles that have like enabled our survival over time, but then like here in this current context, it's like so out of place. Because like social behavior is largely the reason why we are the species that we are, right? That we've got all the abilities that we do and stuff, other things as well. But the not having to worry about what's behind us generally, because we have a group, has been something that has really been important. And then here it's like right now everybody's getting that fatigue, everybody's getting tired of it, and we're literally built to not give a crap about a stressor after a while. Now there's some issues with trauma and stuff like that, but if you put a general population under a stressor, I mean, think about the war. I mean, think about World War I and World War II. Like at that point in time, people suppressed the fear and they switched it to pride. Like they tried to convert it to like, oh, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like all the propaganda that came out, like they get over the stressor at some point and they try to meet it head on and or just try and move forward. And
right
in this context, it's like so just terrible how we have people who are just like, we were driving back the other day, and there was an old school Latino party in front of in the front lawn with like, I would say 15 people, like, 15, 20 people. Yeah. Like cooking out, everybody close. And like, it's just not something I could say is obviously wrong, but the reality is that it's definitely like risky.
Like, and another thing is, it's also most of the time, it's also, especially in these, a giant family that all probably live in the same house or like, two, house next to each other, which is a very common thing.
Yeah.
So they believe that it's safe because they're around them all the time, which, to an extent, having a small circle, you are safe to an extent, right? As long as you take your own individual precautions. But you can't just, in my opinion, I don't know, I don't live with family like that, but in my opinion, I just don't think you can just gloss over that and just assume that everything's okay.
No, I agree. It's just it's so weird to think about. Dude, I used to bartend. You know what I mean? Like I used to be in a packed bar, 3, 4, 5 people deep across the entire bar. I've had money thrown at me. I've had like random like just situations where I never thought twice about it. And then now it's like I don't even know if I could. I mean, it's gonna take me so long to warm up to that. I used to like to go to 6th Street or go to downtown and just kind of get dropped off there, go check out some of the jazz clubs, go walk up and down Congress, see what I can find,
Have a night. Have a night out.
Go enjoy it. You know what I mean? But now it's like that, like the violins are playing in the back of my mind. Like whenever I go somewhere. Yeah, like a very like a Stephen King or like a Hitchcock, just like slow rise of the violins as soon as someone gets close to me. That sucks, man. That sucks. So I hope that you're able to get that get around all that crap, Jaime. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be different for sure. I mean, he has a costume, so something will happen, even if it's something like makeshift and here at home. But
but it will happen. You can make it special still.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the main thing, right? It's just about making it special and trying to get them into the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Which can definitely work. Man,
something real quick I want to add before I forget. Something that just reminded me of what you all were saying about kids and what to do in these kind of situations where you still want to have some kind of normalcy. One of my neighbors way down the street that I don't know, I know that he's got a great just wall that's facing the street, and he has a projector, and there's a bunch of kids that live across the street from him in like these 3 different houses. So he set it up, and he's just playing movies for them. Like, and they're sitting across the street in their yards watching it. And I think that's a great sense of that's people who live across from each other who maybe didn't know each other, just got close to find some kind of normalcy and created a sense of community, which I know wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's really great to see. That is a good thing to see, and I hope that I hope you can have something like that.
I think he can. Like, dude, I've been waiting for them to bring back like drive-ins.
Yes.
They did it in Austin a bit. But like I'm just waiting for drive-ins to come back. Like people are, and I understand, people are so fixated on what they can't do. And I get that, right? Because there's definitely some difference. But like, dude, I've been saying, like, I'm surprised that businessmen haven't, dude, go get a small lot, pour out some concrete. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or just make it like a dirt driveway, dirt drive-in, and you can literally just do what they do in Westaco, Mercedes, Wesmer, and just have the huge freaking thing there. You might not be able to do the burgers, at least not the same way you used to, right? You'd have to have someone go out deliver them, like to the cars and stuff like that. Like, but still,
you can bring your own food. You might even have headphones plugged in, or the
radio. What they would do.
Yeah. So like, sure, it might not be in a theater. Sure, you might not have your coffee or your popcorn or whatever, but you're adapting. And like you said, you're so fixated on things you can do. fixate on things that you can do and how to make them doable.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nah.
I would
And like you
love
said,
it.
you're totally right. I'm surprised. Like I think about Cinemark and all these other Regal and all these guys going under. It's like, how do you not see that? Like you have the solution, you have the ability. It's really interesting.
Dude,
It makes me wonder why.
The back, just take the back of Cinemark, the lot that's there. Like take the back of Cinemark, get like ridiculous powerful projector, and like put it on there, and then charge cars to be in that lot. Like it would, and you could charge, especially if it's a car, right? Multiple people, you could charge $25 a car, like 30, $40 a car. If it was like really good quality, you know what I mean? Like you could definitely do something like that, because the reality is that we're gonna need those outlets, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially with more and more time that we spend inside.
I think definitely just banking on them not having to change a damn thing, and then like COVID just vanishing and everyone flooding to the movie theaters, and then them just making all that money back. That's what they want to happen.
Oh yeah, it's like the path of least
Not
resistance.
to put any money in changing anything at all.
Yeah, but that's just not how it's gonna work. You know what I mean? Because I've even been saying, like, first off, like Sonic and Stars should be making a crap ton of money right now. Right, like you'd imagine by going to car hops, right? Like having places where a car can park in order like that and get some food. You'd imagine that would be working well. And I've actually been jokingly waiting for people to get back on roller skates, and to kind of go out and give burgers out like that to the cars that come up. I was even saying that like going to like creating a place for people to park and eat. Because I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are picking up food and they're frustrated that there's nowhere to go because they don't want to go back home. Right. So if you make like just simple carport, like where you can park your cars, like Sonic but without the actual restaurant, and you just have like vending machines, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know.
Like even like a charge station, like double that.
Yeah.
You know, have a charge station and then have an area for just any car to park. Or like rest stops, but at that point they would just be
rest
stops or something.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's what needs to happen. But the thing is, I know nobody wants to invest that long term into this, right? Like Jaime said, which is a really good point.
Once these people believe like once things go to normal, then they'll make that money back. And I guarantee you, if just say for example in the perfect situation, everything went back to normal, movie theaters opened up and the next big Disney blockbuster made them all the money they needed back. You know, that's a perfect scenario, but
I don't know that it would happen though.
Not likely to happen that way. If movies that are coming out now that people are still willing to take certain risks to go see them, even they have not been doing well in its current state. You know,
when I went to go see the New Mutants, when I bought my tickets, we went to the theater and there was like we were the only people that bought the tickets. I think 2 couples came in and we sat like really far apart. So 3 couples in 1 full theater. So like they're not. I don't know. I really don't know how they're making money at all. Like I don't think they are. I don't know what's like how they're making the decision to even stay open. You know, I guess just
especially since they were so close to bankruptcy like earlier this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that I really don't get it either, man. Like,
I haven't really read into it, but it makes me wonder if the studios gave them a cut, like, "Hey, this is kind of beneficial to both of us if you stay open or something."
Oh, sure.
Because I guarantee you. Also, I also went to the theaters recently after a long time to watch Tenet. Nobody was there. It felt like a Monday night or a Monday morning, you know, when I used to go, and it's like, wow, it was like a Friday. I was like, there's nobody here. Great, but also, wow, this is odd. So we walk in, right, and I don't buy any food. Right, like I had eaten before. Like my intention was to just watch the movie, and the individuals that were with me picked up the random popcorn or whatever. But it's like that one popcorn, we're the only ones in that theater. That's not enough. You know, it's not enough. And I can imagine people once, you know, if they were a little more comfortable going into a theater, would they be comfortable buying the food from there?
Yeah, you know? That's one of the things that always bugged me too, because I never purchased from like the draft house, like the beers.
Yeah, rarely, never.
Because I mean, I've been a bartender, man. Like, I'll tell you that any bar is not that clean. You know what I mean? Like I can read, a glass. I can pick up a glass and they give it to me, and I can tell you whether or not it's been washed right. You know what I mean? And there's tells. Now it might be sterilized, like it was dipped in sterile water and stuff like that. And so, but a bar on its best day is still pretty dirty.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, as soon as all this stuff came, so I never would get from there anyways. But with all this, even less so. You know what I mean? Like, I would care to get anything from the restaurant. And that bugs me because I love the idea of it. I would do it every now and again to like spoil myself and stuff like that, right? I think I watched Endgame like in a draft house. Like I had a meal there and a drink, so I do it every now and again. But dude, like I just don't see how they can stay open. I don't see how it can work that way. They were supposed to be out of business like a couple months ago. Like that was the not the threat they were making, but the statement they were saying.
Right.
So I have no idea. Like, especially with it's crazy.
There's a lot of important things in the world that definitely need attention. I know maybe movies in the theater are not something that everyone is like thinking is an important thing, but I think overall, as an institute, it's really important that that kind of art is something that we can still, in one way or another, see, right? And sure, we have streaming. You can just rent. What's like a big late one like Mulan, right? You can go, assuming you have Disney Plus, go rent it there for like what, 20,
like
30 bucks? I have no idea.
21, 24, something like that.
Yeah. So you can do that, but I feel like my vision of it is that like going to the theaters, like for Americans, is like watching baseball. It's a pastime in a sense.
It is.
You just it needs to be around, and it needs.
Do you
to be
know why that was invented? Do you know how like the cinema even started? Like.
No. Please do tell me.
I think if I remember correctly, the cinema was pretty much built off the back of the AC unit. Like it was so hot, and people had no way of getting out of anything, and they couldn't afford home AC units yet because one, they didn't exist,
right?
And you know what I mean? Like it was just invented. So what they did was they literally was like, okay, guys, well here's a chill box, and we'll put on movies to entertain you. Like it was the AC unit was the actual cell, and the movie came second.
Right, that was the cherry on top.
Yeah, and that's where popcorn came in and drinks and all this other stuff because they're trying to keep you there longer. And then short films started turning into an art form. You know what I mean? In a bigger sense, at least that's how I remember it. So it's kind of odd to like. It's so weird to see where we're at now, being almost like the antithesis, right, of how movies were created in that sense.
Right.
Or movie theaters specifically, because movie theaters came about as we have a bunch of people that need to go somewhere and we want them to be cool, and that's a way that we can get them here. Now, how do we keep them here? Oh, we feed them and we show them something on a big screen, a moving picture, right?
Yeah.
But then here it's like, okay, now we need people to go nowhere.
Right.
And all these comforts that the movie theater has are now at home. Right, like everybody hasn't, just about everybody, not everybody, right? But just about everybody has an AC unit. At least a room in the house that has an AC window unit, usually, right?
Or a very powerful fan or something.
Something, yeah. And everybody has Netflix, at least. This is what it feels like. Like it feels like honestly, man, it feels like you get your driver's license and your own Netflix account. Like I feel like, I feel like that's gonna be standard op after a while. It's fucking nuts, but it's true.
You get a free 6-month trial. Complete your driver's test.
Yes, you are now a citizen. Here's your Netflix account. But it does freaking feel like, or Disney Plus if the mouse wins. But
the mouse will likely win.
The mouse will likely win. Jaime.
Yeah.
I worry. Have we been boring you, sir?
No, I can't comment on whether or not the theater was, carried on the backs of the AC industry, big AC, big pharma, big AC.
Big AC, get the hell out of here. Like, what was it? I love that meme where it like has the picture of the guy that invented the AC unit, and it says like, "Here now, bow to your god."
It's very true. Imagine now without AC.
Seriously, especially in Texas, I can't imagine.
Something I wanted to mention, you were talking about like how the movies were made. It makes me recall movies from like the 50s or the 60s that took place in the 20s or the 30s, and actors in those movies go into a theater, and you look at their amazement at the picture, right? Like, and if you go look at like just like B-roll or footage of like people going into theaters like in the 60s and the 70s too, like people were just amazed at like this thing they were going to see.
Yeah.
And now I feel like this is totally different, but I just wanted to mention, now I feel like it just kind of, because we have access to it so easily at home, you know, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch that later, and it's just kind of whatever. It's less excitement in it, you know. So I think that maybe a way for theaters to you know, regain confidence in the customer base is to make it, aside from accommodate our current situation, to make it also a little more interesting, innovate in how you can make it more entertaining.
It might like they're gonna do like a Pink Floyd light show.
Oh hell yeah, I'd go to that.
I wonder how many people they actually lost.
Like the actual numbers.
Like now that they're like you can stream them at home, because like I mean, like even though you can watch the movie at home, it's not the same experience because you don't have the surround sound, you don't have the big ass screen, the darkness, the you know, if it's 3D or like when I went to go see The Hobbit and it was like a higher frame rate, like those kind of things that you don't have. I mean, unless you're a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever the hell maybe. But like I remember, and like I remember being amazed, like probably in the same way that like I'm assuming that like people were walking to the theaters in the 20s and 30s and 40s, and like oh my god, like there's people on the like in the screen, like like and like it's almost like. I feel like I kind of felt the same way when like I went to go watch like The Hobbit, right? The higher frame rate. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck? I feel like I'm here, like weird. Like people threw up, you know?
They're in front of me. And
I'm there,
dude. It's a growing form. Like I wouldn't. I mean, like what was it? Those new chairs, right? That rumble in accordance with the movie.
That's kind of neat. I went to watch Tenet that way. And it added, I will say it added to it. At first I thought like this is going to be gimmicky. I think I might have been on it once. I just don't remember. But yeah, I thought it worked for that movie.
That's such an interesting thing. Like I get you. Like when they did that, when who's the one who directed the Mad Max series? George Miller. No. Was it Miller? Oh. I'm looking that up because I don't want to get that wrong.
Oh, did he release Mad Max in black and white in theaters too, or was that just on DVD?
Just DVD.
Yeah, it tells me there was a limited theater release for that, and then
maybe
straight to the Blu-ray. Yeah,
I've heard actually heard the black and white one is really cool.
It's great. It's amazing.
And that's that I love the color, but so what I was gonna say is that. The choppy scene, the cutting out of the frames at the beginning of Mad Max, or actually throughout all the action scenes of Mad Max, but like you know the choppy running they have at the beginning, like that was cool too. Like speaking of like the higher frame rate, but even the opposite situation where they cut frames, like to give it this sense of like a staggered movement and like like an edginess. Like there's like such really cool stuff that can be done with film that it can give you that first experience.
I mean, I'm just thinking of like the people who are like, we just watch at home are probably the people that are not going to go to the movie theaters in the first place.
Yeah, it's like a self-selecting.
Yeah,
it's possible because
I definitely think I think that like allowing people to stream movies at home is probably a you know like that's just them opening up the market to a bigger crowd. The people who wouldn't go to the movie theaters in the first place, just be at home and wait for it to come out on DVD. Like they're able to make money on them because they get to see it at the same time that everyone else sees it, but just not in the theater.
Yeah, and that's basically the thing too, especially with families, like people with young children.
Yeah,
I always heard this. Like I used to say this when I was younger, and it's kind of a dick statement, but I think it's real. Is this just that like so once you have a kid. You have a 3.5 to 4 year I can't go to the movie pass, right? Like because like taking a young child to the movie theater to cry and scream, you know, because they're confused, they don't know what's going on, like it's not interesting for them, you know. And I used to say, well, you can't go because you have a kid. Too bad. It's like, but here in this context, Like this is exactly that market you're talking about, right? Like the people who can't go,
Mhm.
the people who probably wouldn't go because of that, but now they can. Because you're right, like furnishing your own like theater system at the house, like a really good surround sound system is going to cost you, like a really really good one's going to cost you easily 700, 800. Like all right one 300. That's still a hefty foot in the door, you know.
Yeah, and that's not even having, like, I mean, you can have a really, really sound, and then like you also not know how to set it up,
Yeah.
and so you might have to have someone come over here and set it up for you because like the dynamics of your room and the acoustics, like all that shit matters. And so you could buy a $700, surround sound and it still sound like shit. So you need to pay like or learn how to set it up yourself and like play with all the dynamics of the system and in your room. So.
Man.
Yeah, and then just imagine like tuning the picture too. If you buy like this incredible screen or projector and you just have no idea how to actually use it.
Which that's the thing is that it's going to be interesting. I really hope that movie theaters don't take as big a hit as they're saying, and I can especially see them like opening up as they have, probably out of desperation. You know what I mean, just trying to get as much as they can, but this feels like such an interesting and odd time. I was watching like some documentaries like over the mob with Ash. We're kind of going over that stuff. We recently watched Goodfellas, the first time she ever saw it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful movie. And then she had kind of asked like, is this real? And I'm like, is this real? You know what I mean? Like, let us discuss the mob, right? So but in going down all this, like, it's just got to be so interesting to see how all this has changed and how currently in today's context it sucks. We literally like we have mafia rules in the sense that the person that comes to kill you isn't you're not gonna have any clues, right? Like it's gonna be someone with a friendly face that's gonna come say hello to you, and that's gonna be the death knell. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna even know. It feels so weird to be alive right now. You know what I mean? Because any one of your best friends or your consistent acquaintances that you see could be like a Trojan horse, and then the worst part of that is that they themselves might not know, and they themselves probably have the best of intentions. So even if you get sick and you figure out who that Trojan horse is, you're probably not even going to be you're not going to be able to do anything, right? Like there's nothing you can do. It's just came with a smile. Like so I've been telling Ashley, like, this time of life is so weird because it's mafia rules. You know what I mean? Like you go hang out with your friends, but it's a very thin line between when your friend accidentally becomes a Trojan horse and then like, boom, Rona.
Right.
Which I have to say, like we can't confirm Mr. Choppa's case, right? We were talking about that last time. Or maybe we didn't talk about this, but the fact that you had experienced a cold like early on last year, right? A brutal cold. But Todd and I have a couple friends in common who have had it. You know what I mean? And who got over it. And it's just so weird because I'm happy that they stopped hanging out because there was a couple weeks, like 3-4 weeks, where nobody really hung out together. And I didn't really pick up why. I was just like, oh, okay. And then I realized, whoa, wait a minute. Like 2 or 3 of y'all are like sick. And it just came about that, whoa, like these people have it. And then now they're immune so far as we know, right?
So far they're great, which is great. They're in good health, which is the most important thing, and nothing happened. And they took the right precautions at the right time.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Very lucky. Like very lucky that it turned out that way.
Something I'll add in passing.
What?
Which is funny because it's whatever, whoever listens to this, but it's like when we sat there that day, I wasn't necessarily aware.
Oh, you're talking about the day before the time before this last one.
The time before this last one, I wasn't aware of that, mostly because I also hadn't been attuned to the chat we're in. We're in a couple of different chats.
Oh yeah, dude, Jaime, this guy comes in and he's like takes off his mask because he's around his friends, and then they like the first thing my friend says is like, "Yeah, recovered from Rona." Like, dude, like the death that was happening to this man in his own head. like again, the violins right in the background. Yeah. Just like, and I had already kind of accepted my fate. Like I literally with the friends now, I say, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Yes. The very next question I say is like, do I gotta worry about Rona? Like, and that's basically me telling him, hey, like double checking everybody's all right, right? Like to your best knowledge, right? You're not a doctor, right? But to your best knowledge. And he's like, yeah, dude, like for sure. But then like at that point, like he had already told me, hey, like I had it, you know, I already got like I couldn't return without a negative on the test. I got a negative, I'm fine. And he was like, I hung out with him, and Todd and I didn't get sick, you know.
And they've been completely fine.
Yeah,
since, and they also have not been going out or doing anything like that necessarily. So,
dude, hanging out with them, I'm not kidding. I go to give him a hug, and even though I know he's negative, you know what I mean? Like in the back of my head, just da 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 da.
like one of those Hitchcock fucking shots where like the background like moving and you're like,
yes, dude. Like where like the whirling sound is like I'm tripping out, like I'm in focus, but everything's moving. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it just feels so weird, dude. Like, because my friends are like. We've developed a great set of friends. It's a rarity that you have this massive set of friends that consistently see each other, you know what I mean? Or at least are connected. As we grow older, as adults, we tend to kind of separate a bit, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just so cool because we've all worked really hard to develop this set of friends. And then like in 2020, it's like, if you have friends, stop. And it's like, what the hell? Like...
This is you on Friends.
Yeah, it's like you sick in the hospital with a freaking ventilator. Like
you got Captain America going over and sitting on that chair. So you thought you were gonna hang out for your friend's birthday in August.
For real though, like so you thought you were gonna see Ramstein, but like it's like it's so brutal to live in 2020. Like thankfully now some time has passed and we have, I think, all of us a grasp on it to an extent.
Yes.
We have the standard operating procedure and shit, right? But geez, like it's just so weird to live in this time period. And I feel for you because your thing has to be a little bit different too because you're on campus right now, Jaime, right? Not right now, but you go to campus.
I don't have to be on campus, but like I go because right now I have my own office. Like it's not like a graduate student office, so I'm able to get away from like Ian and be able to like focus and do my work. So I go to campus to do that.
Still, just by trying to get that, like it's like another good friend of ours, Jaime and mine's Dylan, who like you should remember this, Jaime. His thing was always going to coffee shops, right?
Yeah.
Like going to coffee shops, taking his laptop and doing his work there, right? I mean, and like now you can't even do that.
Like, yeah. So like 100% when like this shit kicked off, and we were all like, okay, everyone stay the fuck home, and like everything is closed down. Like, so I was forced to like try to like, you know, be a TA and then finish all my classes while being stuck at home with Ian, and like I had no time to myself to be able to like think. I couldn't go to coffee shops, couldn't go to campus because we weren't allowed on campus, and it was brutal because like and I'm not the type that like stays up late either. Like I learned that in undergrad. Like I function better. I get like so like if I take a test, if I don't have a test, and my options were I can either stay up and cram, or I can just get a good night's sleep. I do better on the test if I just have my sleep and I had studied less. So like I stopped, you know, staying up late, and so like that gives me a very limited amount of time where I'm like awake and Ian's not.
Yeah.
And it screwed me over. So
which makes sense. That's why I hear a lot of parents try to get up like earlier, like around like 5, you know, like to try and beat that clock. By the way, Jaime, you're forever part of my lectures on sleep.
On sleep?
Yeah, because I literally I don't use you by name, but I say I had a friend who was a great father, was really good at school. However, he had like basically no real friends in college because he did the right decision. He slept. It's like, because I remember I asked you when you graduated, I said, how the hell did you make it through all this? And I think you told me like, I slept 8 hours a night. I was like, guys, so it really is true. Like if you like, it's the decision between like good sleep, good grades, good networking of friends, right? I was like, sometimes you got to make that decision. I hate to tell you this, but the proper answer is sleep. You need sleep.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, because I attempted it because like that's like the go-to. Everyone crams, and I tried it. I just like I would cram and like I would try to get some sleep. I'd wake up like after like an hour and a half or something, and I just feel like garbage. And then like looking at the test was just horrible. And like because I had no sleep or because I was groggy from not getting any sleep, the cramming like did nothing. So I'm just like, why am I staying up and doing this? It was like legitimately making it all worse. I'd rather just like, oh, I didn't get to study well. Let me just get to sleep then.
It's a great decision, but it's just something really hard to like a hard decision to do. And like when I tell students that like the proper decision is to sleep, and everybody's like they have like a guilt in their face, like I know, but I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. And I'm like, I get it because I made the wrong decision every time. But like I still have to tell you, the right one is go the fuck to bed.
Yeah,
because I brought that up in one of my abnormal lectures. I was like, for those of you who are up at 3 a.m. and feeling like you're alone, you are, and it's because it's 3 a.m. I'm like, go the fuck to sleep. Like I always laugh because people are like, I feel so alone and isolated. No one loves me. I was like, because it's 3 a.m. Like nobody loves anybody at 3 a.m. like everything's just passion, and like you gotta wait for the morning to come by to see where it all lands. Like
everyone loves somebody like at 3 p.m, maybe.
But it's like I always laugh at that. Like you need sleep, you need it, and that's someone who consistently breaks that rule. But oh my god!
I mean, I think there's definitely like certain disciplines where you're kind of just learning, facts or whatever on the test that it may work, but like the more like the more that I've gotten into like my education. It's like I cannot cram and write a good paper. Like I can't stay late and write a good paper.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna happen. Like
it takes time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like you can't be sleepless and then like try to come up with a really good idea to write down. Like it just doesn't happen. Maybe if you're like drunk or high, some people can get away with doing that. I can't. I have tried to write high or try to write a little tipsy, and I just
I can't. Yeah, I can't. Or I get distracted. For me, I get distracted. Like I'm just on a different wavelength.
It's funny. I mean, I figured this out before I even started to try to do it in academia, but I guess I didn't apply it. But I remember, I mean, like you play guitar. We've listened to like all the rock stars or whatever the hell, like Dimebag Darrell, like fucking plays. All these 80s rock star fucking amazing guitar players played drunk out their damn minds on stage.
Oh, hell yes, dude.
High, right? And I'm like maybe I can do this. And I remember one time, like, we had some friends over and it might have been like I was undergrad. Yeah, I was undergrad. And this was like during, what's it called? When they bring the Yale undergrads together and they're kind of like doing meet
and greet.
What is it? Yeah, like a meet and greet, right? Yeah. So like I brought him over to the trailer and we were like all drinking and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm getting drunk. You know what? I want to play some guitar. And I was like, oh my god, why do I suck so bad? My fingers are not busy.
Dude,
like, what the hell?
Dude, I remember those because I had like played in a band a few times, and like so it always would happen where like you drink a little bit because you're like it happens every time. And it's always like the stupidest game in the world of trying to find the sweet spot that you believe exists but doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, because people are like, okay, so I'm nervous. Yeah. I want to loosen up. Everybody's here. I want to have a drink, right? And so you have a drink, but it takes a lot longer for that first drink to hit you than you realize, right? And so by the time you're on your second or third drink, you've already missed your exit, if you know what I'm saying, right? So yeah. And so like I've had it happen where like I was on stage and I'm like either playing the guitar or I'm playing the drums and I were just chanting to myself, please sober up, please sober up. Because like it's so hard to like really play into it. There is a sweet spot that exists, you know what I mean? Like but it lasts for like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like and you either fall from grace, like you start becoming sober, or you've already jettisoned yourself like into the stratosphere and you just don't know it yet. Right? Like you just, it's gonna smack you in a little while. You just don't know. I will say the one that saved my ass was playing on the drums, because on the drums I'm sweating.
Oh yeah.
So it just pours out of me. So like the drums was the only time where I've sat down like buzzing, going to drunk, and I walk off sober. like I get off just like, because everyone else is standing, not really wasting that much energy. Yeah, with your hands and you're thinking, right? Like, don't get me wrong, you're doing stuff, but like as a drummer, like you just
Physical exertion is there.
Yep, especially as a metal drummer or a rock drummer, right? Like it's just you're playing on level 7, 8, you know, just exertion. And so that was fun for me as a drummer. I could bring myself back to sober. But I remember playing and about to start playing, and like starting off the count like and thinking, well, I hope this goes right. I hope this goes well. Especially since I'm timekeeper. Like imagine having a drunk timekeeper.
Keep it all time.
Exactly. Like, so no, I totally get you, Jaime. Like, it's so weird how.
It's funny too, because I remember trying. So like, I think the first time that I think it might have been the first time that I got high, like really high. And I think, no, on edibles, which was,
oh god,
I mean, during my master's, and so it was like my first year in as a master's, and it was like Christmas break. So I was going back home. I was like, okay, I have some work to do. I need to read philosophy of language paper, which I've already read before, but I'm going to read it again because, you know, I need to write some like paper on it or whatever. It has to do with the context sensitivity of like demonstrative, like this, like the word this or the word that or now or me, and
something
how, like,
you really don't want to
context
contemplate while
yeah. So I already understood the idea, and I've read the paper, and I know where he goes with it. I just haven't read it, you know, like maybe in a year or something. So okay, whatever. So I took a bite of brownie, and then like all of a sudden, like I think people can relate. I was like, all of a sudden I found myself in front of my computer. I kind of just like forgot that I had like did all this other shit, like took a shower and put my son to sleep and everything. All of a sudden I was in front of the computer, like, you know, time skipping experience of being really high. And I was there trying to read it, and I was like it was almost like I was reading something for the first time, something super ridiculously hard. I was like, what the hell is this guy trying to say? Like, I don't remember him like saying any of this. Like, I don't understand. Like, it was like the most difficult paper I've ever read in my life, and I've already read it, and I already know what it is because I've done it sober.
Dude,
it was horrible. I cannot do it.
That is the most terrible thing when you're there and you're like, okay, I know it's English. Like, I know this word, and I know these other words, but when I read them together, like nothing comes out. And I've had that happen before. Like, and just the idea of not really feeling comfortable or able to do anything. I mean, it's got to feel like, and dude, the thing is that, so I've been around, so me, like I did a relatively tame, whenever I've performed, you know, whatever I am, I'm more tame than others, right? Because I've seen some guys like drink, and then I've seen which stuff that just never calls to me, like taking like excessive amounts of coke, right? And they drink the depressant, then they get too depressed, their nervous system, right? And then they take coke, and that like bumps them back up into where they want to be, right? But it's too far up, and so therefore they start drinking more to bring them back down to normal. But like I told you, you miss your exit, right? And it drops you right back down, and then they do that. And I remember like, okay, and I'm gonna go on stage, and I remember thinking like, how are you gonna do this? You know what I mean? Speaking of psychology, the wonder of the brain, right? That it can have all of this interference and still go on by association. You know what I mean? Like, how many of those, you know, artists that we saw, like you know, like Jimi Hendrix for sure, right? You know, like talking about the Rolling Stones, you know, any of those, you know, even the Beatles, right, in their later years, right, like them being just like totally high off their ass and then giving some of their best performances, like it just blows my mind, you know?
Yeah.
Blows my
It is.
mind.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, I mean, I think that if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was just Phil Anselmo from Pantera who had dabbled with like heroin. I think the whole band had like tried it once or twice. For sure, they done some of the harder stuff.
Oh
But like
yeah.
to play like drunk off your mind or high off your mind, and like to be as good as Dimebag was like, I really like, I don't know where, like, is it just that he's so good that he can do it like on like autopilot? Is it that like he's come like, I don't know, like like at a certain point, you know, like you get like you're a functional like alcoholic, so maybe like he's a functional like druggie. Like I have no idea.
It's this fine line, dude. It's this fine line between like all the interference you have, right, getting in the way, and then like your associative memory, right? Like you're basically going on on autopilot, right? But there has to be some magical line where you just fuck up, right? Like where you switch and you go over, and I guess that would be your threshold. But like how?
Yeah.
And then there's the science to say that your thresholds modify depending on the working memory stress. So taking that out, imagine like the reason why a lot of these people OD is because they take a break, they go to a new, they try to do it again, and they try to do their old dose, but they do their old dose in a new location, and their brain is so like their tolerance changes by the new stimulus in the area, right? Because your body kind of associates cues. So a druggie is safer in his old drug place than he would be in a new drug place. This is basically what that comes down to.
Yeah.
So how is it that, if that's true, right? How is it that a freaking musician could stand in front of a room full of 300 to 500 new stimuli, right? Like people have probably never seen before, and their brain doesn't whack out. Like they just like, oh, it's just another crowd. You know what I mean? Like I don't get it, but I have an idea of how it would work, but I just can't, even haven't experienced it partially, because there were a couple shows where I really like, you know, I'm not a God-fearing man, but I literally was like, I hope to God I can finish this damn song. Like, and not only that, but remember my timings or whatever, you know? Like,
yeah.
And I can't imagine, like, especially doing something, like, imagine doing something so hard as, like, heroin. Jeez. Like,
yeah.
Even that, Pink Floyd, dude. Like, imagine Pink Floyd, like, oh my God. So I wanted to ask y'all, like, how y'all feeling? Are we good on time? Do y'all want to start wrapping it up? Because I kind of have a question on here that I could ask.
Yeah, because I think I'm in the gym a little bit.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Where is this one? Okay, so this one's like kind of like to wrap up, like with a movie question that we had, and of course, Jaime, you're always welcome to come back. These are fun. So this would be the what's on paper the first time you having here, but really the second, and we're totally down to have you here for like a third in the end. So question is, what unrealistic thing in movies annoys the hell out of you? Like, and I can go first if y'all need time.
Time lapses. I love time lapses, but I hate how like.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
Like anytime a movie like transition. Okay, this is
montage?
Maybe not. Sorry.
Like a montage?
No. You know what? Yeah, sure. Actually, that makes a little more sense. Yeah, like a montage of like, I know that was such a 90s, 80s,
like the Rocky montage. You mean kind of
like people get along after like not getting along, and then you see a track comes in, a licensed track comes in for like a minute and a half, and you see them going out doing activities or doing all that stuff. I know that's for a specific kind of movie, but I saw that a lot growing up, and I really hated that. And I'm glad that we've moved away from that in a sense.
I just think of South Park. You're gonna need a montage. Like, I love that freaking episode. It's so true though. Like, I always laugh because the ones I hate are the ones in the Rocky movies. I love the Rocky movies except the one that nobody likes. But the Rocky movies, I love them except for the montages. They're fun, they're a guilty pleasure, and I will watch them. Don't get me wrong, right? But every time I hate it, it's like they set up everything to be as bad as it can be, right? Like Adrian's not talking to him. He's in the worst physical health he could ever be, like, or in compared to his context, right? He's not even in the United States anymore. Thinking about like Rocky 4, right? And he's in a totally different spot. He's literally training in like sub-freezing temperatures, right? Like there's just no way that any of this would make sense. And then one like song later, right? Like he's in the freaking ring and like he's, fighting Russia.
Right.
Like I always laugh at those scenes. I'm like, what the hell? Like, no, but fine. You're Rocky. We need to get this movie done. Whatever. But geez.
I'll add one more thing if I have that. If I can have it.
Sure.
It's just a lot of licensed music.
How do you mean?
Like that the Suicide Squad movie basically being a Hot Topic music video.
Yeah. Well, it was literally put together by a freaking trailer house.
That's really I don't like that. That's a very common thing in a lot of late 00 movies, like action movies and stuff like that. Some movies that I really like, and it's just like there's just moments where like, did you really just have to transition from one song to another? Because like that they did that with the Suicide Squad. That really annoyed me.
No, I get you. Like, and that really does bug me too, especially like the montages that they have at the beginning where like they literally put a cutout, a narrative of all their names and what they're about and stuff like that. Like, I understand why it needs to be there, but like, there's not a comic book, right? Like, you can't just take out the comic book cutout of who they are and put a little excerpt.
It's kind of like a mark, though. I see like people like Tarantino doing that.
Yes, but it like just verged on like someone turning in like a short written assignment that they didn't work that hard on. You know what I mean? Like it was
right. Pop out. Let me just give you a title card.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I totally get that, and that's definitely something of like worse movies, right? Like their intentions might have been in the right place, but it did not come out correctly.
I got you.
What about you, Jaime? What do you got? And I got one if you need time.
I mean, I think it's like I have one, but also like I understand why this is, for storytelling and stuff like that. But like, there's some, it's with certain movies than more than others. But sometimes I'm watching a movie, I'm like, how can this dude or this girl, like, how does this shit keep happening?
Yeah.
Like how are they so either unlucky or very lucky? And it's like, well, like then I'll like my answer myself, well, obviously, like they wouldn't make a movie about them if this shit didn't happen in the first place. But it's like all this shit like aligned so perfectly or didn't align perfectly at all. But like it's so much. It's too much. It's like why
yeah.
I don't know.
Like it's excessive, right? Like it's obvious, it's what's too planned out, too obvious.
Yeah, I think so.
Like or
they're trying to fit too many events or too much action or
and so it all has to go well, otherwise it wouldn't make sense because they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like that one makes sense. The only time it works for me is if it's like in a movie that's apt at that level, like Mr. Deeds, right? Like Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler,
Yeah.
like that movie, and like Waterboy and stuff like that. Like they're just all the necessary events happen because the comedy is the main character, right? The funny is the main character. And that's kind of part of it is the fast succession. But I do hate it when it's like, okay, there's like a year's worth of stuff that needs to happen in the next, 30 minutes. So we're going to just shrink it all down and just like bullet point it. It's almost like the montage, but it's like not track listed with a song, like fucking Bohemian Rhapsody, dude. When I saw Suicide Squad get Bohemian Rhapsody, it damn near flipped the table. Like that guy's swan song should not have fucking been in that movie, but I digress.
It didn't make any sense.
No, it didn't. But it's that same thing that kind of Jaime's getting at, like but just too many. It kind of like a tactic, right? Basically,
it's also like an overload of sensory. Like there's a lot of scenes in that movie where like you could have done. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a movie maker, right? I'll go make one if I want to make something that I'd like. But
I'm trying to think.
there's just some moments in that movie in particular that like you could have done with like the music was just not appropriate at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like if you want to do licensed music, awesome. Get something that makes sense with the scene.
Exactly, rather than something that's jarring. I want to,
or something that's just popular that people can say, "Oh my god, you remember when that song came out?" I was like, "Yeah, I've heard that song a million times. I came here to watch the movie."
Yeah. So why are we freaking talking about that? Like So I wanted to ask Jaime, do you have an example of that, like a movie that like peeves you off with that, or is that just something you've noticed?
Not right at the forefront of my mind.
Okay, no, you're good. I was
Because
just
I
curious.
actually haven't seen a movie that's done it recently. Well, I mean, because I haven't been watching a lot of movies either. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I remember seeing a movie that was just like, what? Like, I don't understand how someone could be, either so lucky or so unlucky that this, like, all these not random things, all these pivotal things keep happening to
all these
the
fortuitous
movie.
events.
Yeah. It's
like the perfect story. That's what they're trying to emulate.
And of course, like, it makes it worse that, like, because of course it kind of makes more sense, I guess, if you say like, oh, well, they're like the chosen one or whatever. But like, if it's not like that, right? They're just trying to tell the story about this person, and it's like it becomes weird. Like, wow, how did this person like get so lucky, right? Like, he like found the love of his life, and all this. Like, I don't know.
I have a movie that does it, and it's kind of like a movie like Ocean's 11 type stuff, where where like everything's going forward, right? But then there's one B story or C story that he didn't give enough time, and rather than it actually playing out like it probably would have, it's just like it goes perfectly and they write it off. Like that usually gets me mad, because there was this they had did like an all woman led version of, like, I think it was like Ocean's 14 or something like that. No, Ocean's like something like that, right? And and like I hated the ending, because I liked the movie, what they were doing. Like, I liked the fact that it was female led. I think that, you know what I mean, it was kind of like an interesting twist on it.
Kate Blanchett.
It was good. I liked it. However, the wrap up at the end, the last act, like that just didn't impress me with how it was just like, and of course everything went off without a hitch and we're back and we're done. I'm like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some sort of problem, or you know what I mean? You have to show me you worked through it. You can't just say, and it all went well. The end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't stand that. So I know, I get it.
So I think that this happens. So like, this is exactly what happens in horror films. But if you see it outside of the horror genre, it doesn't make as much sense.
Well,
because like,
yeah.
the horror genre plays on it so that they can just like give you these cheap scares.
And
right?
so they can wrap up the
story. What's that?
And so they can wrap up the story at the end, right? Because again, the horror is the main character. And then it's like, and she's safe. Good night.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I'm thinking about like Child's Play, right? Like there was a scene when she turns Chucky over because he was talking, and then she finds she sees he doesn't have any batteries, and then she drops them, and he rolls under the couch. Like how did Chucky get so lucky that he found a family that was dumb enough not to just okay, I'm gonna fucking leave the apartment, bye.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna go look for this doll that just rolled under your damn couch, and then he has a chance now to attack her?
Yeah.
Right. So you see that kind of stuff in normal like just film genres, and it's it feels weird, it feels ugly, it feels like you said, kind of a little lazy and just trying to wrap shit up.
And that's what really bugs me is when there's no thinking situation, right? It's obviously someone wouldn't do that in real life. But I think the way I think about those moments also is if we didn't have this stupidity, we wouldn't have a movie.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah. The story to tell, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
or real quick, or it's something that the studio decided to completely just boil down into something.
Oh, that's true too.
For them to understand.
Yeah, no, it's also true too, because these are board done movies, right? Board approved movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the one that always gets me, there's two. One of them's kind of basic, and the other one's a bit more like, kind of like what we're talking about, old tropes. One of them is that where these motherfuckers like take 2-story damage, like, you know what I mean? Like they fall from a 2-story height and they just get the hell up, and they're like, keep chasing that guy full force. You know what I mean? Like I hate how like everybody in the movie has some level of superpower, right? Not Marvel superpower, right? But like everybody has this natural imperviousness. Like the one that always ticks me off is when they get hit by a car going 30 miles an hour, and like, and they're like, "Oh, a minor inconvenience. Let me continue my jog." Like, you know what I mean? Like I have a my friend Ryan was like partially hit by a car. You know what I mean? Like I've seen what this damage does to people, and it was probably going 15 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So like every time I see it on a movie screen, I just like, okay, that's stupid. I'm just gonna not think about it. You know what I mean? Like whatever, not gonna think about it. The one that gets me, go for it.
That reminds me of like the other guys for The Rock and Daniel Jackson. They jump, right. They're gonna do one of those big jumps and they end up falling to their death.
Yeah, and then obviously and the other people take over for them, Will Ferrell and stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is that like that right there is it. That hits because of the trope, right? Like that's funny because you see it so often done otherwise.
Well, okay, so real quick, just to go back on the one that on mine, because I have like this exact, and they make fun of it in this movie. Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah.
Seen the movie?
Yeah, of course.
So at the end, right? So like you have Chris Evans, who's like the guy who everyone wants the girl to be with.
Yes.
The guy who
I forget he's in there. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so
and then
true.
like her, I guess who's supposed to be her best friend, but it's weirdo, right? So they're both kind of like racing to get her at the airport before she leaves, and like for Chris Evans, everything goes right? Like he misses traffic, and like everyone's like helping him out. The other guy, everything's going wrong.
Yeah,
and, like, he's getting hit, and he's getting like he like makes a statement, and everyone's like looking at him all disgusted.
Oh, they like boo him or something, right?
Like exactly what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like where they make fun of it because they show the contrast between the two different.
Yeah, like the pretty boy is getting it all done right and everything's going well for him, and then the other guy's just like trying to go his way doing the same thing. You know what I mean? And like everything just falls in front of him.
Yeah.
Dude, and no, that's a movie that I need to rewatch because I still love the infamous like the guy that gets hit by left and right football players and like he gets halved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just like boof, just like crashes apart. It's just funny.
Actually, I realized I watched it not too long ago. I forgot his name. The guy who plays the voice for Bob's Burgers, Bob, and the one from Archer.
Oh yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, Archer.
He comes out. He's like an assistant coach, and he has like this little like back and forth with the main coach. It's kind of funny to see him because he's a lot younger there in that film.
Dude, that Archer, I love that guy's voice. His name is H. John Benjamin.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I realize that they're coming out with new episodes and Archer's finally awake, so I need to rewatch that. So, because he's been in a coma. Yeah, he's been in a coma for seasons already. 2 seasons, I think. So the other one that ticks me off, this one's kind of more normal, is the liar revealed trope, and then they make up in the third act. Like, I hate that. I hate it where it's like, just tell them and everything will be fine. No, I'm gonna hold it back because I want to show them that I'm right or whatever, right? And then like they get made out like in a public area where like, hey, he's the one who lied to you. This is all his fault. And like it's so purposeless because like I know for a fact, like with some of my friends, like friends that you're really close with, if you were to lie to them and it's something like inconsequential or something, like you would get around it way easier. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be as dramatic of an event, like especially some of my friends, like they might be like, man, that was stupid. You're stupid. Let's go get food. Like it wouldn't be that dramatic of an event, but it's always in these drama movies, like with like Meet the Parents type stuff. You know what I mean? Like where there's a tension, someone's a liar, they're revealed in the second scene, in the second act, and it's the stress is placed in the first, revealed in the second, and then they're back together where they were at the beginning in the third. And like, but the movie's tied up, right? I just hate that. Every time I hear like, oh, this person's lying and the tension starts, I just like tune off. Like my brain just like gives up. I feel so bad for movies, any sort of dramatic movie. That's why I can't watch that many chick flicks, because a lot of chick flicks have it.
I mean, they kind of, I mean, they touch on that in Not Another Teen Movie too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. Like
where he's like he like the douchebag friend, right? He like whispering into like the love interest ear, and then Chris Evans like, I only took the bet because of this or whatever the hell. He's like, whoa, man, I didn't even say that. I just tried to whisper something like really quiet, so you thought that I said that you lied or something.
Exactly,
like that.
yeah.
Oh, shit.
And he lets himself go, and he kind of screwed himself over. That's what I'm saying. Like, I hate those tropes, and I get it, right? As you know, I dabble a little bit in writing. I know Todd does too, right? So there's probably like tropes that people follow, like kind of like formats, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm just so tired of that, and I haven't seen The Liar revealed in a little while. Then again, I also tend to not watch the movies that would have that in there anymore. But like kind of like you're saying, I haven't watched all the new movies, right? But it is something that really bugs me. Like, and that's something I think we should probably end up bringing up and talking about. I've always told Todd that we should probably work on some sort of like either movie review thing or like have like a movie section, just because I feel like we could go on for days talking about movies.
Yeah, you really can.
I mean, I think all of this is just to say that the best movie ever made was Not Another Teen Movie.
Is that
just rename the podcast that? It's Not Another Teen Movie.
Not another teen podcast. I'm okay with this. But I think with that, I think we can start wrapping it up. We can call it, yeah?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, so Jaime, if you can stay here for a little bit after we end it, just so we can talk a little bit. But to anyone listening, please do like, comment. I'm real curious to see what sort of movie tropes, if you've made it this far. One, thank you, and also hello, Gabe. But if anybody has any like movie tropes that they hate, or specific films that they're curious about, or even like opinions on the movie theater stuff, that'd be interesting. Because
also answer the question at the beginning, because I would love to know where you would hide the paperclip. I really want to know.
Seriously, if you have any ingenious answers to the paperclip, let us know. But with that, thanks for joining us in, guys. Wonderful to talk to y'all, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Yep.
Have a good one, everyone.
Later.
Later.